This is your international award-winning author and literary extraordinaire, Tennille M. Jackson. And to all of you who are watching on Facebook, we want to say hello and welcome. This is Yet Warriors Talk. And today our primary warrior that is going to be doing the talking is your traditional host of this show, Miss Lady Rochelle. And so I am grateful to be able to step in today, and I have the pleasure of interviewing her. Many of you know that she is celebrating her newest book, which is called You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose. And that launch is going to be coming up in a couple weeks on May 19th. And so we want to give you guys an inside look. You can hear it from her perspective, all of the insight, what inspired her to write it, why share now. We're going to go a little bit into her story, but right now I want to take the time to welcome her to her own show. Hello, Lady Rochelle. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome. So we are going to jump right into it. And those of you who are on Facebook, you already know how she does it. If you have any questions, make sure that you guys are putting them in the comment section and we will address them as we can. Tag some people, let people know that we are on. I promise you, this is going to be a very inspirational interview. And so again, we are talking to Lady Rochelle, and we're going inside of the book, You Are Unstoppable. And her section in the book is section 2. So we're not going to go page by page within this book, because again, we want you guys to show up to the book signing, which is going to be here in Chicago on May 19th. But we will discuss pieces of each of her sections. So she has chapter 3, which is entitled Position to Purpose. And then chapter 4 is Reason to Live. And so what I want to do, Rochelle, for whoever may not know you, I'm going to give them a brief overview of what's said in the book. And this is how they introduce you. Lady Rochelle has an unstoppable story of personal reflection, mindset correction, and warrior transformation. She will show you what can happen when you find why and the source of your why. If you let it, I am sure this story will help you move from past to your own purpose. And so I kind of want to use that to play on that. It says your warrior transformation. And since this is Warriors Talk, we're going to take the time to allow this warrior to talk and answer this question. Why now? Why share your story, and why this platform?
Wow, that's a great question. Why now? Because being a cancer survivor, I've learned that African Americans have a high death rate. Not only that, we have a low survival rate. So when I think about that, and I think about my father passing away from lung cancer and my sister passing away from breast cancer, it just alarms me that it says 1 in 2 males, 1 in 3 females. And we don't really even take that seriously, that, you know, the numbers are really high for African Americans. And I just want to do my part, because I don't want anybody to have to suffer through what I went through. So if I can give out some information to educate them, inspire them, or to move them into action, then that's why now.
Absolutely. And I think that is awesome, because if we just want to hammer that statistic home, that basically means for anybody who is, for anybody who is sitting next to someone, if you are a male, that means one of the two of you.
He's just not starting. We halfway into the show. This is for.
All righty, you guys, welcome to Warriors Talk. And you might be wondering, why in the world is this lady on? For those of you who are on Facebook, bear with us really quickly, but I am taking over the show today. I am your international award-winning author and literary extraordinaire, Tennille M. Jackson, and this is Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle Matheny. However, today she is going to be the guest, and she has allowed me to come in and take over. And so we are going to be discussing some very crucial facts. Those of you who know anything about cancer, and for most of us in the African American community, we have some personal experience with it, whether it has happened to someone we love or someone we know, we are aware of this most tragic disease. And so today we're going to talk about it with Lady Rochelle, and she has more than just a personal encounter with it. This is something that she's went through not only herself, but even within her family. So we're going to talk about that. And to those of you who are listening on the air, I want to go over really quickly the fact that we're interviewing Rochelle today because on May 19th, she is a part of an anthology that is entitled You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose. And within this book, she shares a couple of stories, and we're going to kind of give a couple of overviews on those stories. Chapter 3, she talks about being positioned for purpose. And then chapter 4, she gives her reason to live. And we're going to delve into that a little bit. But again, we're not going to give you too much because if you're in Chicago, we want for you to come out on May 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. The address is 10244 South Vincennes. You can still get your tickets. Tickets, I believe, are only $25 if you want to come out and support that. For those of you who are not in Chicago, what we want you to do is reach out to Lady Rochelle, and she's going to give her contact information in a little bit. You guys can either pre-order your copies of the book. She'll be talking about some other upcoming events that she has if you guys want to support her. But what I want to do really quickly is just give a brief introduction of who Lady Rochelle is. And this can be found in the book. It says, Lady Rochelle has an unstoppable story of personal reflection, mindset correction, and warrior transformation. She will show you what can happen when you find your why and the source of your why. And if you let it, I'm sure this story will help you move from your past into your purpose. And so what we want to do, we want to kind of play on that warrior transformation because the name of the show is Warriors Talk. So we are going to give this warrior an opportunity to kind of explain yourself. So let's talk for a little bit. Why now? Why now? Why is this now the time that you feel is right to tell your story?
Why now? Why now is because African Americans have a high mortality rate. Not only that, we have a low survival rate when it comes to all types of cancer. And I had a father that passed away from lung cancer. I had a sister that passed away from breast cancer. And most of the time, we don't talk about what's going on in our family. We don't know our family history. We don't know our risk that's going on to even take action about it. So I'm tired of talking about awareness. It's time to go over preventive measures and to take action with what you know. We always talk about awareness, but awareness does not save lives.
Come on. Just because we know about it, that does not help solve the problem. And I believe we were talking before and you were giving me a statistic saying that 1 in 2 males have cancer, or go ahead and finish telling me that.
1 in 2 males would be diagnosed, according to the Center for Disease Control. 1 in 2 males would be diagnosed with cancer. 1 in 3 females would be diagnosed with cancer. So those numbers are really alarming when you think about it. And in the African American community, for some reason, we have a higher rate of cancer running rampant throughout our community. And that's all types of cancer, not just one type, but all types of cancer. And we know that cancer is the second leading cause of death. In the U.S., heart disease is number 1. Cancer is catching up to heart disease. So we need to stop it before it stops us.
Absolutely. And we want to go right back over that staggering statistic really quickly. She said 1 out of 2 males and 1 out of 3 females we diagnosed with cancer. So for those of you who may be watching this show with a friend, the person that said if it's 2 guys, so Terrence, if Terrence is sitting next to his male friend, then that statistic insinuates that 1 of the 2 of them may be diagnosed with cancer. And it's 2 of us in the studio, but if there's another young lady sitting to the left of me, then that means 1 of the 3 of us would have been diagnosed with cancer. And so sometimes, when we speak in numbers, I like to really break it down because people don't understand how real this is. This isn't something that is hypothetical. This is something that not only does happen, but it's happening every day.
Yes.
And so you yourself, you said before that you had you lost your father to this disease. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I lost him to lung cancer April 23rd, 2016. He had prostate cancer and he went through treatment for that. And then 2 years later, it ended up coming back. He ended up having lung cancer and it spread to his brain. and he had it within 6 months. He was out of here. He was out of here, and it was really devastating because we, for some reason, I don't know, we just be in denial when it comes
Absolutely.
to cancer, and it really running in our family. And I know high blood pressure runs in our family. We know diabetes runs in our family, but cancer, it's like we have a hard time accepting that it runs in our family. And it hit four of us in my family. It hit my sister that passed away at 52, my dad that passed away at 71. It hit me at 43. And I know my brother probably don't want me to tell his business. I'm not going to say his name, but he hit my brother not too long ago. And thank God he caught it in time for him to do something about it, where he had enough options to where, he could do something about it. He's back on his feet and doing what he has to do. But he was aware because of what we went through. So he took the initiative to go in and see about himself. And that's all we're trying to do, is to get you away from awareness and be proactive and not reactive. We don't want to wait until you get a diagnosis.
Exactly.
But do something before that. So in honor and in memory of my sister and my father, I couldn't sit on my diagnosis and not do anything and help anybody else.
Absolutely. And I think that is so essential what you said. In essence, we want to move from awareness to action. So instead, stop just knowing about it, because so many times, especially again in the African American community, we can kind of quote the statistics with you. But what difference does it make if you can quote the numbers if you're not doing something about it? And so I want to go really quickly into a piece that you wrote. It's called Position for Purpose. And underneath this piece, we started off with this poem that you wrote called Chemo Days. And I want to read just one excerpt from Chemo Days. And I share with you that this was really heart-wrenching for me because I lost my mom from cancer. And so the way that you describe it is very descriptive. It's very poetic how you describe it. And when I say poetic, people, I need for us to get beyond, roses are red, violets are blue type of poetry. This is not necessarily rhyming poetry, but it is very poetic in the way that it is delivered. And so I want to read this piece. It says, "The pain of sores in my mouth has caused me to lose weight and look paper thin. No appetite, no relief in sight. I can't fathom why this journey began. Trying to hold on when I have every reason to let go." And I'm going to stop right there because I want for you to describe for us when, and you even talk about it in the book, when you first heard those 3 words, "you have cancer." How hard was it for you to continue to hold on when you wanted to let go?
It was very hard for me. It was very hard to not let go. I believe if I didn't have any children, that I probably would have let go, because I wouldn't have had my reasons to live. But because I had children and I didn't want to leave them in the world without me actually nurturing them. I had my mom and I had my dad at the time, but nobody's going to raise those babies like you. And I did not want to miss out on all of the milestones that was coming up. And those were really my reasons why I did not want to let go. So I had to quickly decide, once I heard those words, "you have cancer," I had to decide, what is it that I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, how am I going to beat this before it overtakes me? Because these cells are multiplying and dividing as I'm sitting here thinking about what to do. I don't really have time to sit and ponder. I got to make a move. So my babies were really my reason for not letting go. They were really my only reasons.
Well, how old were your children when you first got this news?
My youngest was 18 months. I had just finished breastfeeding her in May, in May, and I received my diagnosis in November.
Okay.
So she was only 18 months, and my oldest, I think he was 20. So I was just like, Lord, why? Why is this happening? I did not want to leave my babies here, not without me.
So in your mind, you really thought that this was a death sentence.
Yes, I feel that everybody thinks that when they hear those words, because in the past, that's what you're associated with.
Absolutely.
Whenever you hear somebody had cancer, death followed it.
Absolutely.
And you had some survivors every now and then, but everybody don't share their story. Everybody don't tell their testimony of God healing them. And that's the reason for Warriors Talk, because I want people to share the goodness of God. I want people to know that we're not in remission, we're healed. When you're in remission, you waiting on that cancer to come back. When you heal, God don't take back a healing.
Come on. Come on. And you know what? I want to actually segue that, because in the book, you also give healing scriptures, things that have helped you through. And you were just talking about being healed. And one of the scriptures that you give in that, and I want to give this just in case somebody else is listening, and you may need to hear about that. A lot of times what happens is we feel like giving up, we feel like letting go, and we're like, you know what, I can't make it through it. But there's this one scripture that you give, and this actually was one of the scriptures I memorized by heart when I was going through this with my mother, and it's James 5:15. You quote 14 and 15 in the book, but 15 says, the prayer of faith shall save, or will save the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. And so we do have to understand that with his stripes, we are healed, as you said. So it's so important that just listening to your testimony, that you kind of make up in your mind. So for anyone who's listening, and if you have had that diagnosis, or you know someone who has suffered with that diagnosis, again, not only did I lose my mother to cancer, but I just recently had both an aunt and an uncle to be diagnosed with different types of cancer. And so I think what really hits home is when you make up in your mind that I have reasons to live, number one. And then number two, when you believe with everything that you got, I am healed. So regardless of what it looks like, I'm able to make it through this, and I'm going to make it through this. I want to take a quick moment to read another piece of your poem. And I want to talk about this. It's just one snippet, but it really hit me hard. You said, paralyzed by the collateral damage. This is the latter part of this stanza. But she says, paralyzed by the collateral damage, searching for a better tomorrow. If you would go into what you saw that collateral damage is being.
That was everything that cancer left behind. That was the scars that I have to live with for the rest of my life. The memories, the mental, because you have the mental diagnosis as well. They give you the cancer diagnosis, but they don't deal with the mental part of it. And so that collateral damage deals with everything that's left behind, the residue that's left behind that I have to deal with once I'm done with treatment. Cancer, you still have to deal with things for the rest of your life. I'm still dealing with side effects from cancer that I don't really mention to anybody. Just looking at everything from my hair having to grow back, my skin having to get back to its natural color, my fingernails growing back, just everything that cancer tried to strip me of. Just everything it tried to take from me. You sit back and you reflect on the collateral damage that it done. And it's very disruptive. It's like a hurricane. It comes in and it wipes you. It leaves you fatigued, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so I'm just going to tell you, my one thing is my faith. I had to, and I thought I had a relationship with God. You know how you think you have this relationship. Oh, I'm close to God. Well, when you go through something like this, something that's life-threatening, where you think you're going to die, you rethink that relationship. Wow. And you look at it, and I had to really start from scratch and build my relationship with God. I had to apologize to him, ask him to forgive me for my sins. But I had to apologize to him if I offended him, if I did anything, Lord, to offend you, that would cause this to happen to me. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
And you know what? For those of you who are listening, we're also broadcasting live from on Facebook, but for those of you who are listening, you're not really able to see the emotion that's coming out. But in essence, what she said was, in doing this, she really had to figure out how to let go and let God. Right now, what I want to do is I want to kind of just transition really quickly and allow you guys to hear that song. Those of you who are on Facebook, you're not able to hear it, but you guys stay tuned in to us because we're going to come right back. But sometimes when you're going, matter of fact, not sometimes, whenever you're going through and you start seeing that you can't do it on your own, it's because you've yet to let go and let God. So take a listen to this song by Dwayne Woods.
You can read some of the comments if you want to.
Hello to everybody tuning in to Facebook. Hey, Vicky. Vicky says you come from a praying family and that God sustained you. Let's see, I'm gonna go back. Hey, Henry, thank you so much for tuning in and sharing. Thank you so much, Angela, Melissa. To all of you guys, Lisa, Terrence, Janice, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Miss Tina, if you guys would be so kind and hit the share button, because this is going to be a very powerful, and as you can already see, it's going to be a very personal show, because a lot of times when you're on the other side of the microphone, so being the host, it's not always easy to release, right? Because you're always having to be the one to give all of the strength and the energy and make sure that everything is rolling and reflecting. And so that's another reason why I thank Rochelle for trusting me to step into her shoes on today and be on the other side of the mic and interview her. Vicky says that awareness is power, and she thanks you for sharing your story. And so in either case, I am, like I say, we are going to, I think we are listening to Let God, Let Go and Let God. So that's something that you guys can kind of put down in your mental capacities after this show is off, because we don't want you to go anywhere. We want you to hit share. Make sure you tag some folks, especially anyone that you know who is either suffering from cancer, because on this last part, we're going to talk about a couple more personal details from not just the book, but from Rochelle, because again, I don't want to go too much into the book because I want you guys to come out and buy the book. And so if I go page by page, y'all ain't got a reason to come on May 19th. So I want you guys again to mark it down on your calendar, save the date. Saturday, May 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. There is going to be the official book launch of the book, You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose, 10244 South Vincennes. You guys can still get your tickets. You can message Rochelle, inbox her personally, ask her how you can get there. But I'm telling you, I've gone through this book. I've already cried my tears. Like I told her, I was not ready. I was not ready for it, because having lost my mom to cancer and having family members with it. Thank you so much for sharing, Janice. It is very, it's real. It's real. It's no other way around it. So if you have lost someone, whether you have or have not, I'm encouraging you to read this book. It's a great read. And so, in either case, if you guys have any questions or any comments, feel free to make them in the section and we will address them throughout the show. But like I say, we are going to be coming back pretty soon. And once we come back, then we're going to delve a little bit deeper. If we didn't already go deep enough, she still want to keep on going. So I told her, and it's been a little while. For those of you, I don't know how long you guys been following me, but once upon a time I actually used to do inspirational talk with Sunil some years ago. So she said, well, I know you can do it. So, I appreciate that confidence, that vote of confidence. But she genuinely is a warrior. And so I think that there could not have been a more fitting name for this show for a time such as this. They all love you, Rochelle. They're loving you a whole lot.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
He's ready. All right. Alrighty, welcome back to Warriors Talk. This is a Monday takeover. You may not know my voice, but for those of you who do not know, I am your international award-winning author and literary extraordinaire, Tennille M. Jackson, and I am in the stead of Lady Rochelle today, who is in the studio, but she is on the other side of the microphone being interviewed on today. And so today we are discussing the book. She has recently become a published author. So in her words, she is now official. And so she will be selling her book on May 19th. So for those of you listening, and if you're going to be in the Chicago area, May 19th, we invite you to come to 10244 South Vincennes from 1 to 5 p.m. and purchase your copy of the book. You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose. And if you are just now joining us, then, you know, I'm sorry because you done missed some good stuff, but we have been talking about Lady Rochelle's personal journey within her family, as well as her own personal diagnosis. And so I kind of want to go a little bit more. We kind of discussed the first part of the show. Now I want to move to, you talk about reason to live. And earlier when I asked you the question, you kind of alluded to the fact that your children were your reasons to live. Do you have anything else that you attribute now as being your primary reason to live?
I would say that would be to get the information out to everybody else so that we can save more lives, so that we can prevent diagnosis versus early detection. I believe that God put me through it because he knew that I wasn't going to keep my testimony to myself. And to help other people, when somebody comes to me and they say, I was diagnosed with cancer, you know, what I need to do, I get so upset because I know I can't save everybody. You know, you can't save everybody, but I feel like if I keep pushing this information on a weekly basis, somebody is going to hear it.
Absolutely.
Somebody is going to get it in a timely manner. Somebody's going to go and get a mammogram. Somebody's going to stay on top of their physicals. Somebody is going to be able to save their own lives with this information.
And so you talk about the prevention. So what is it? So for those who are watching on Facebook or listening on your live show, what are some things that they can do, that people can do to help to prevent this disease?
The first thing you can do would be to start going to the doctor. Get a physical. If cancer runs in your family, start talking to individuals in your family so you know what's in your family. You know what your risks are. If you know what your risks are, then you know what you need to reduce. Once you do that, stay on top of your physicals as you're going. Pay attention to how you're feeling. If you're doing your monthly breast exams every month, you know if you feel a lump, go to the doctor. 80% of lumps are non-cancerous, they say. When you know your norm, then you know when something is not normal. So your first step in defense is to be your own self-help advocate. Advocate for yourself by knowing what's going on with your body.
That's awesome. And I want to stop because I want to rewind. The first thing you said was know what runs in your family. And one of the things that I have found is that, because, you know, we both have a whole lot of kids, right? So when you take your children to the doctor, you typically have to fill out these forms, and they always ask, what are the things that run in your family? I mean, it could just be something for like a physical that you're taking your children to, or a dentist appointment. At the dentist, they want to know, does cancer run in your family? They want to know what types of different illnesses. And so what I have found is that a lot of times in the African American community, especially, we don't talk about stuff like that, right? Like, unfortunately, we're a part of that generation of what goes on in this house stays in this house. We're part of that generation where our parents or grandparents felt like it wasn't the children's business to know what was going on with them. Those things are personal. So from your perspective, you would say, or you would encourage individuals to tell their family members what diseases or what things are going on with them, so that way somebody else isn't paralyzed from it.
Exactly. This lady said they had, at their family reunion, they had a table, a medical table. And the medical table, it was set up for everybody to write down on their family tree what they suffered from, if they had any type of disease. That way, everybody in the family knows what's going on. When my father had prostate cancer, we didn't know he had prostate cancer. He didn't tell us. For 2 years, he was going through this, and he didn't tell us. My mom knew, he knew, but he didn't want us to know. Even when he went through the lung cancer, he still was like, don't tell her. My mom was like, they're giving you 6 months to live. You need to let your kids know what's going on. So we tend to hide it. For one, I think because we're ashamed of what's going on. We act like we have this disease, this diagnosis because we've done something to get it. And so we feel ashamed. We don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. I felt the same way. You don't want anybody to feel sorry for you. You don't want anybody to have pity on you. You don't want to look weak. You know, but you would rather die alone by yourself with all of that stress on you versus warning the other people, this is what's going on. They have a test out there for breast cancer. It's called the BRCA test, BRCA1, BRCA2. You could take this test and it will tell you if you have that gene mutation that's going to later on cause you to have cancer. You can do preventive measures. You could become what they call a previvor. And the previvor is someone who take proactive measures and they prevent the cancer from happening in the breast and from ovarian cancer as well. So you would get a hysterectomy, you would get a mastectomy, and that's your way of preventing cancer because you have an 85% chance of it coming in your breast, a 55% chance from it coming in the ovarian area. Why not take preventive measures instead of waiting for that ticking time bomb to go off?
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you who are listening, I want to make sure that we hammer this point home because this is something that I recently learned. Men can also get breast cancer. So many men do not think that they are able to get breast cancer.
1 in 1,000, Tennille. 1 in 1,000.
And it does not seem like that's a big number, but it is. So we want to make sure that our men are aware of what's going on. And so right now what we're going to do is we are going to break one more time and we're going to let you guys, those of you who are listening, make sure you stay tuned in because we're going to finish up this show very, very dramatically. So Facebook, you guys keep on tuning in.
All right.
We doing good. I was looking at 7:25, but you didn't tell me at 7:25 because we had just came back at 7:25. So did I mess up? A little bit. It's all right.
Girl, go with the flow.
Okay.
This is your show.
Okay.
Look, I'm just visiting.
Is the person that's supposed to call
On the phone.
me?
Is it Vicky? Did she say who was? Let her.
Oh, okay. So when we come back, we're just gonna let her go, or do I have to introduce her?
Yeah,
She's on the phone.
introduce her.
Okay. So who is she?
It's Vicky McClurg. She's from Sabian House. And she's going to introduce herself.
Should I announce her as Vicky or just say that she's from Sabian House?
Just
That
say
young lady
from
from
representative.
Okay.
Yeah, representative from Sabian House. And then she's going to tell.
Vicky McClure.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, Vicky McClure from Sabian House. Okay.
Hey Valerie, hey you guys. Tonielle is doing such an excellent job.
Thank you, and thank you guys so much for
goodness.
tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all hit that share button because this is going to heal somebody. And even if you're not going to do your own mammograms or preventive measures, if you hit the share button, think of that as your small contribution to helping to raise awareness about cancer. It's really about making sure that more people know about it, right? But beyond knowing about it, we want you guys to start doing stuff about it, okay? Thank you so much, Miss Lisa. So you guys make sure that you hit the share button. And again, if you have any questions, because we have an announcement that we're going to make, but then we're going to finish up the show. So if you guys have any questions, don't say you wait until the end. You need to put them in now so that way I can incorporate them while we're on, because we're going to be done in about 20 minutes or less, probably about 15. So y'all make sure you're asking questions.
So they want to know, can they pre-order the book? You can pre-order the book. You just need to go. You want to do that now? You can go to my website, warriorstalk.org, and click the button that says author Rochelle Matheny, and it'll have a link where you can pre-order the book.
So make sure y'all got that warriorstalk.org. If I need to spell it out, that's a WARRIORSTALK.org. Make sure that you go ahead and do it. Absolutely, Jeffrey. We all know people who have died with cancer, died from cancer. And that's the reason why this show is so crucial for you guys to share it. A lot of times we don't like to hit that share button. I really don't understand that because we're like, half a space away from just touch and share. And so especially if you know someone who has died from cancer, a family member, a loved one, help to spread this message because Rochelle, she's doing more than just sharing her story. She's also letting it be known, preventive measures, things that you don't have to wait until you're stage 4. It doesn't have to be stage 4. You can catch it early. So we want to try to get as many people to catch it early as possible. So thank you, Janice. We appreciate you ordering it today.
She's on. Yay!
That's
Thank
what's up.
you. Let me get into a second tag the thing. I'm gonna get the link and put it in the comments.
So Rochelle is working on getting the link for you guys. So she's going to put it in the comment section. So anyone who wants to pre-order the book, you'll be able to just click on that link and you'll be able to do so. So before we end the show, we'll be able to do that for you. Can we go off with, I Need You Now? Can we should do that? Okay.
Check everything out.
Hey, is it Tara or Tara?
Tara.
Hey, Tara.
Paula Kelly and her staff specialize in all insurance needs. Paula Kelly, Allstate Insurance Agency, is located at 297 Glenwood, Glenwood, Illinois. Give her a call today, 708-758-3300, or email her at paulakelly@allstate.com. PAULAKELLY@allstate.com. Or show her some love
Janice
and
said
like
she's
her
ready.
on Facebook.
You ready, Janice? Janice is always ready. Let me tell you, she is one of my #1 pushers on the show.
That's what's up.
She shares the show. She invites others in. And I appreciate you, Janice. You know that.
At Emmanuel Church of God in Christ, Pastor Michael A. Richardson serves as our pastor. Emmanuel is located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois, 60612. Order of services on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. is Sunday school.
We getting it together for y'all,
Morning
Facebook.
worship takes
Give us
place
one quick
at
second.
11 a.m. Every first Sunday, we have pastoral prayer at 9 a.m. and Holy Communion is served after the morning worship service. Join us for Bible studies on Wednesdays, 6:45 for prayer and 7 for the Bible Institute
I always think it's
classes.
gonna make noise like when I try to do
Join
it.
us at Emmanuel, where we are building upon a solid foundation.
Valerie says when she buys her book, she wants a very warm and loving autograph in case she glow up beyond the cosmos.
Aww, that's
She
my
receives
Valerie.
that, Valerie. I
Yes,
received that for.
that's my boss lady right there. She always supports me. I don't care what I'm doing.
That's what's
So
up.
it's right there. Thank you, Val. Oh, Jenny says she loves the show. Thank you. Is that the last one?
All right, welcome back to Warriors Talk. This has been a Manic Monday takeover. And the reason why I say it's Manic Monday is because this is crucial information, urgent 911 information that you guys need to hear. It's so urgent that Rochelle called me, the international award-winning author and lyric extraordinaire Tennille M. Jackson, to serve as her host so that she could sit on the other side of the mic and inform you guys of this crucial information about cancer. But right before we jump right back into the show, we have a special guest that is on the line, Ms. Vicki McClure from the Sabian House, that's going to give us some great information. So let's hear from Ms. Vicki right now.
Good evening, ladies. I'm really enjoying your show today, and I want to give a special thanks to Lady Rochelle. I've known Lady Rochelle for a number of years, and Just hearing her story brings tears to my eyes, and you are truly a warrior, Lady Rochelle.
Thank you, Vicky.
Well, I'm calling on behalf of the Statement House, myself and two other ladies, Jacqueline Hollister Canton and Heather Stuhler. We're trying to do a fundraiser to help the women and children of Statement House located in Waukegan, Illinois. And it's a campaign to do a special Mother's Day event for them this year, and wanting the listening audience to pour out some love to these ladies. We're going to be doing a fundraising drive in Waukegan, and we're asking for toiletries. We're asking for items that can really help these ladies in transition. One of the important things I want the all listening audience to know is that 84% of families experience homelessness are headed by females. Homeless families comprise roughly about 34% of the total United States homeless population. So with that being said, I'm hoping that the listening audience can reach out to us and provide some love and support to these ladies. We are taking donations up until May the 7th at the Legacy Reentry Foundation, located at 2835 Belvedere Road, Suite 309 in Waukegan. For more information, you can contact Heather at 312-544-9335. And we're also doing a GoFundMe campaign. And for those who would like to make donations, can do so by contacting the GoFundMe page at GoFundMe.com/fundraiser to benefit Statement House. I'm hoping that your listening audience can pour out some love today and help our ladies going through transition with their children.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Thank you for the call. And I hope that not just the listening audience, but also those who are watching on Facebook, if you guys were able to hear Vicky's plea, we're asking that you do please send us any toiletries or even donations. And Rochelle is going to put that flyer on her page. So anyone who wants to contribute to the Statement House, to this mission, we want to do whatever we can. Again, it's all about helping individuals. We want to help these women, homeless women, and especially when you're going through stuff and you're homeless. So it's already bad enough to be homeless, but also when you are going through cancer or different types of disease, I can only imagine how overwhelming that feeling can be. But we will again want to thank Vicky for calling in and providing us with that information. And again, for those of you who are just now tuning in, we are finishing up this Warriors Talk episode where Lady Rochelle was not the host this time. She invited me, international award-winning author and literary extraordinaire Tennille M. Jackson, to be the host while she sat on the other side of the mic and she has been interviewed. She has been talking about her excerpts in the book of You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose. She was a part of this beautiful anthology, which was put together by Terrence Lethbridge, and they are going to be officially launching the book on Saturday, May 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. at 10244 South Vincennes. So you guys can get your copies, and we thank everyone who's already been saying that they are going to pre-order their copies. The link is on Facebook. For those of you who may be a part of the listening audience, please go to either Warriors Talk or Lady Rochelle's personal profile page, and she will have the link for you where you can pre-order that book. But Rochelle, as we are getting to the close of the show, what I wanted to do, there's a part in the book where you talk about your encounter with God. We talked earlier about how with cancer, it kind of takes a toll on you physically. And so you kind of talked about some of the preventive measures that we can take physically. You talked about how it attacks you mentally. But here, I'm guessing that this is a spiritual attack where you end up talking about your encounter with God. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Well, I had an encounter with God. Remember I said you think you have a relationship with God, but then when you go through something that's devastating as this, you have to rethink that relationship. I had a night to where I was in so much pain, and I was reading scriptures that are in the book, and I was on my knees. I was stretched out, and I was crying out to God. And I'm like, Lord, I need a word from you. Do you hear me? And I cried out to him, and it was around midnight, and I was sitting there listening to the radio. I like to listen to inspirational music, and the song came on. The presence of the Lord is here.
Myron Cage, yes.
And he was letting me know that I'm here, I'm in the room. And when I tell you that the atmosphere of the room changed, and I sat up, I wiped my tears, and I started thanking him for everything that he has already done.
Come on.
And then I just started telling him what I need. Not that he didn't know what I need, because I'm his daughter, he knows. But sometimes a daddy likes to hear a daughter say,
absolutely.
This is what I need. So I started telling him everything I need. And then the next song that came on was Let Go and Let God.
Yes,
I
yes.
had to let go, because I was trying to carry this burden on my own and trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, you can't do this on your own. And after that night, I still had to go through, because I was still in the middle of my journey. So I still had to go through, but because I was still in the middle of chemo. I hadn't even had my surgery. I hadn't even done radiation. But that night when he told me that, it gave me that peace that surpasses all understanding.
Come on.
And I knew that I was going to be okay. That encounter right there with God, I was like, if I never have another encounter with God, I felt him that night. I felt him say, you're going to be okay. He went so far as to let me see myself healed.
Wow.
He showed me a vision. I wasn't asleep. Of how I looked healed. He showed how my hair was short. He showed me exactly what I was going to be doing. He showed me standing in front of a crowd of women. Either I was teaching, training, or doing something. And I'm like, oh, that's not me, because I'm shy. But, just having that encounter with him, he let me know, even before the doctors declared me cured, I said, oh, I'm healed, because I saw myself outside of my sickness before I was even done with treatment.
Well, you know what? To me, it sounds like your encounter with God really encapsulates the two chapters. Your encounter with God gave you a reason to live, and it positions you to purpose.
Yes,
so we want to encourage all of you guys to, again, if you are in the Chicago area, if you're not in the Chicago area, come to Chicago Saturday, May 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. and meet this outstanding lady yourself, along with Terrence Lethbridge, Marie Abega, Maureen Bobo, Marie Cosgrove, Dan and Tara Gazulu, and Stephanie Saint-Hill. You'll be able to meet some of them. I'm not sure if all of them will be there, but everybody will be here. So that's even more of a reason. But you get to meet this outstanding woman. If you want to know more about her story, come and meet her Saturday, May 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. The address is 10244 South Vincennes. You can still pre-order your book. You can get purchase a ticket for the event. All of that is there. She is putting the links up, so if they're not already on within the comment section here, and even for our listening audience, you guys can reach out to her on Facebook if you're not already connected to her, either via Warriors Talk or go to her personal page, Lady Rochelle Matheny, and she has really shared her story. She's gotten really personal with us and explained all of that to us with that encounter with God. And again, she talks in her book about position to purpose, reason to live, and she gives you some scriptures. And so I wanted to end, Rochelle, with you giving us, because you mentioned a few of them in the book, but if you tell right now, putting you on the spot, of these that's listed, what is your favorite scripture?
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
That sounds like Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 to me. Yes, so that is awesome. So again, you guys take everything that you heard and don't just let it stop. Don't let it just fall on deaf ears. Everything that you've been able to hear, make sure that you spread the word to other people. And then for yourself, make sure that you take the awareness. Let's move from awareness to action. So me and you two are able to get breast cancer. Do not feel like that this is something that is only for women. And we're not just talking about breast cancer. We are wanting for you to be aware of all different types of cancer. You have ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer, brain cancer. Cancer can affect all parts of you. And so there are so many preventive measures. For those of you who are just coming on now, you can be kind and again, go to Facebook so you can rewatch this broadcast and you can hear Rochelle talk about the preventive measures that you can take. So you don't have to wait until it's stage 4 and it's too late. And now all you can do is be reactive. But what we are cautioning, what we are unctioning you to do is be proactive. Understand that you can do things necessary to save your life. You do not have to fall victim. And as a testimony to that, Rochelle, how long have you been cancer free?
I am, November would be 5 years cancer free, and you know they don't consider you healed, and they don't consider you cured until after 5 years. Once I told you when I was healed, when God, I had that encounter with God. So it would be November, would be 5 years for me.
To God be the glory.
Yes.
Only God can do those things. And so what we want to do, we want to let the listening audience, we're going to go out on I Need You Now by Smokey Norfolk, because I imagine as you were going through that diagnosis, Rochelle, I can only imagine how you were feeling during those times. And if that song does not kind of capture how you were feeling, you know, oh my God, I have cancer. But then you look at it and 5 years later, does it even seem like it's been 5 years?
Oh my goodness, it does not seem like it has been 5 years. I don't even know where the time went. You know, God would take that memory from you, and just like it did not happen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. The worst times of your life can turn into, I don't want to say the best times of your life, but what I will say is that God's word is true when he says in Romans 8:28 that we know that all things work together for good.
Yes.
So with that, I thank you guys so much for tuning in to Warriors Talk. And again, next week, you'll be back with your host, Lady Rochelle. I just took over this week. I am your international award-winning author and literary extraordinaire, Tennille M. Jackson. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to Warriors Talk. So I encourage you all to be warriors and talk about the solutions and not just the problems. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Hey, Facebook. She did an awesome job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really do.
That is no problem.
I couldn't think when I was like, you know, I want to promote the book. I need somebody who will be able to get the information out of me in a way that will be conveyed to the listeners to where you guys will be blessed. I couldn't think of, you were the first person that came to my mind. I was at church when I thought about it. And I'm like texting her while I'm in church. I was like, okay, her church starts at 2 a.m. I'm already in church.
Right.
And she responded, absolutely. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Because I just knew that it was meant to happen. And I had no doubt in my mind.
Thank you.
She came in here. I didn't have to do anything. She was ready. She was ready. I mean, and I knew that would happen. I knew my prepper, I wouldn't have to do any of that because this is what she do. She knows her stuff. She's a publisher, she's a writer, and she's the type of person that pushes other people to their next level. She's not a selfish person, she's a giver. So I knew she wouldn't have any problems promoting someone else.
Absolutely.
And so I was like,
that's what we do. We are authors promoting success.
yes, we are
together. Come on now. Come on. That's what we do.
Yes. So I'm excited. You guys already know what to do. Go to warriorstalk.org. You can click on author Lady Rochelle. If you purchase your book, 50% of the proceeds are going to go to my Battle Buddy Sacks. My Battle Buddy Sacks I put together to take to the cancer centers for those who are starting treatment. When you are in treatment, you need something to distract you from what's going on. So if you purchase a book, not only are you helping out Warriors Talk, but you're helping some other warrior in need. I'm going to take 50% of what you pay for that book, and I'm going to put it towards the Battle Buddy Sacks that we distribute out to the cancer centers. So
That's
please go to
incredible.
my website.
I should ask you that. We should tell the listener audience that. Make sure we tell them that. That is awesome.
That's okay.
So you guys, again, understand that this is not just about buying a book. So many times we get so caught up on, I don't want to buy the book because I'm not going to read. She just gave you a humongous reason to support, because you're not just supporting this, you are supporting other individuals that have cancer. So if you are that one who always says, I want to help, I want to do good, I don't know how I can help, this is how you can help. You don't have to physically pack a bag. You don't have to physically go to the place. All you have to do is buy a book. And to me, I would buy more than one. If you really want to help, buy more than one book if you know that 50% of the proceeds are going to go toward helping somebody else. So again, warriorstalk.org. Make sure you guys pre-order a book, or at the very least, come out May 19th. It's 2 weeks away, 2 weeks from Saturday. 2 weeks from Saturday.
Wow.
So you guys have a couple weeks. You can still get your tickets. You know, Terrence is on here pushing it as well. I'm sure it's all over his wall. I'm sure it's all over my wall. So you guys, again, we promote each other. It's nothing about a jealousy thing, because we truly are better together. Those of you who know Rochelle's story, she's a cancer survivor. I'm a stroke survivor. So we are all about creating awareness to make sure that you are living your best life. So that's what we want to do. And we thank you guys so much for tuning in, spending your time with us. It is appreciated.
Warriors, remember, in life you're going to have trials and tribulations. The key is prayer and preparation for what's to come. Warriors, keep thriving while surviving.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
I love it. No problem.